Yep, weather is pants. I have just got a shout out to do. That will be to John Hope. Good afternoon, John. I've just been sent a picture of John's pond on email. This is what his pond looks like. So thank you very much for John. There's his shout out. Go have a look at John's pond. Hopefully I've put some details on that. Just moving on, discussions about the new pond and how we would like it. You've seen the picture. I've already put that on. I'm just thinking about the skimmer and whether I could manufacture my own skimmer, which is, yeah, I think I could do. But what I might do is buy the Kitsu Koi version and create a skimmer basket. I'll make my own skimmer basket to sit inside. It's just something that's bouncing around my head. It'd probably end up being blurb, but there you go. Just having a look at the viability of putting a nature pond down there. I think that's the way it's going to go. I have been looking at the possibility of moving the fish out during the rebuild, new build and the fiberglassing. I bought my grandchildren a swimming pool last year. Never even came out of the box, but as it hasn't been used and hopefully my grandchildren won't be old enough to actually watch YouTube, I'm going to use that to put the fish in. That will go on the deck, which will be there. I can utilise one of the two pods as a filtration system and then empty out the pond completely. I've just been and checked the gallonage of that swimming pool. It's 1,000 gallons, so as mine's only a 1,500 pond, including the top pond, 1,000 gallons is just going to be spot on as a temporary measure. One of the questions that I did want to ask, I'm going to put this out there to people who have windows in their ponds. Now, windows in ponds is something that I have not had. So I'm trying to do a little bit of homework on this. So if you do have a window in your pond, can you let me know whether, and this is for those that are 600 high maximum, did you have to reinforce any part of your wall around that window, or was the double thickness block brick wall sufficient? I know Matt Williams does these Gucci fiberglass foam frames for the window to sit in, and fiberglass on its own is immensely strong. But those people with a window, if you've got it 900 by 600 or 800 by 600, let me know if you needed any further reinforcing of that block and brick wall. So that's a question for you rather than me coming up with an answer, because I'd like to know for certain. I probably could go completely crazy and put some steel pins through it and make it super Gucci, but it might not be necessary. So please put in the comments whether you needed reinforcing or just left it as it was. So thank you for that. Just another little update. As you've probably noticed, that both the EasyPod discs are now gone. Thank you to Mark, who purchased the first one, and John. I'm just waiting for an email back for him. It's already packed up, John, ready to go. So thank you for the interest in buying those, but I'm pretty simple. From Yorkshire, money talks. If the money's in my account, you get an EasyPod disc. So that's that. Thank you.
Okay, so what we've been talking about is what we're going to do with the top pond. I still want to have plants. I think they're really fantastic. I still love the fact that the birds are drinking in it, and we've got, you know, we're attracting wildlife. We've got a frog, so we thought we'd have a wildlife pond down here. Seeing as the bridge is down here, it'd be quite nice to have a pond with the bridge over the top. So we think we're going to probably use this area, which is still fairly unfinished, and we're not quite sure what we're going to do with it. So we'll actually put the wildlife pond in this area. We're going to have to screen it somehow from leaves falling in winter, but this tree is due to be coppiced in pollarded in a couple of years' time. So it's actually never going to get that big to overshadow it, hopefully, if we get the position right. So the idea is move the plants up. We'll have one part with the irises in. We can perhaps put the lilies in as well, and hopefully if we use the parrot's feather, we can keep it oxygenated enough to put the goldfish in. We would like to we do need to get rid of some of the goldfish, not actually sure how many are in there, but it's possibly 17 or 18, so we do need to get rid of some of those. But that's the idea. So whoever it was that commented and suggested that perhaps we have some blue flowers under to represent water, but we might just do water instead.
So this is the proposed new build. As you can see, this is greenhouse. The greenhouse wall will do the outside of this area of the wall. The inside will be just basically 2 blocks high, because they're 300mm blocks, so 600. There will be a 900 by 600 window, although the gap will be 800, so we can have 50 millimeters either side. Similar with this. The box in red is the existing wall of the upper part of the pond. This will be raised by 300 millimeters, so the whole perimeter will be 600 millimeters in total, making this a level pond. The center wall, which now houses the water blade, that will be all knocked down and removed. So this will have a shallow end, and then just after the water blade that will drop a further, I think it's 17 inch, and then the deepest point of the pond will be 6 foot, so it's going to be about 6 foot, 4 foot, 2.5 foot, maybe 3 foot. I haven't really measured it, but that's the idea, and that's taken into consideration the existing fiberglassing and building. So we're trying to build on top of that rather than totally wreck what Steve the Builder and Matt Williams of GRP put together last time. So we're just waiting for a price from the builders, and we'll give him a date. I can see this being next year anyway, so I'll get Matt booked in as soon as I get the builder organised. But hopefully that makes sense. Another portion of this update is the plastic welding. I did some plastic welding. It's turned out alright actually, but one thing that I did notice, I'll take this out into the sunshine because it might be a little bit easier to see. So when I am doing welds, I have actually, if you can see that closely, there is an impression on either side of the weld, and that's basically every weld that I've done leaves this impression. It's might be difficult to see, or you might spot it straight away. So I was wondering to myself, what on earth's going on here? So I had a look at the width of the weld, or the welding rod, and the width of the welder, and I found this. So this is the welding rod width. If I can lay a tape measure on that, you can probably see that that is 5 mil. But when it comes to the welding, I have, or both tips that I had were in fact almost 7 millimeters wide. So I bought a second one, filed it down, so that is now 5 millimeters. So this is the one that I will be using for this type of rod. So I will not be creating a depression by pressing too hard with the metal and touching the polypropylene sheet. So that's one thing to consider if you're getting one of these plastic welders. For those who didn't see the finished product, this is it. So it's a pretty basic slipway or spillway, whichever way you want to call it. I run a Stanley knife down this this slot time and time again until I could bend it sufficiently. Perhaps I should have filled that in, I don't know, but it hasn't gone all the way through, so well, it's only a plant pot. I then cut self some of this media grid, filter media grid, and I put some rubber furniture supports on. This will allow the media grid to stand above the height of the floor, allow the water to pass through, which will then pass through this slot. So that's that. Is it fun? Yes, it's still fun. I'm really enjoying it. Because of the new pond design, I cannot actually take out my skimmer. It will end up having to be cut out and then sealed in, and I'm just thinking about making my own skimmer. I wonder. The ones at Absolute Koi are 275 quid. I think Kitsu Koi are 179, so clearly a saving. And I'm thinking, could I make myself a bespoke skimmer now that I've got these amazing welding skills? Something for me to ponder over the winter. Anyway, I'll now move on to this little tidbit. I have now got some ends to fix onto the old Yamitsu. Unfortunately, the cable ends, you cannot put sufficient pressure on them to push that inside these little holes. So what I ordered was some of these uninsulated sleeves. I don't know if you can see that without the glare. So uninsulated sleeves, because it said on it 0.75mm. So I bought 0.75mm, and what a surprise, doesn't fit. I could then go up to 1mm, but I couldn't be bothered, so I've now ordered some 1.5 uninsulated pins, and when they arrive I'm going to fix that, put a plug on the end, and that's ready to rock and roll. So that's that little segment sorted out. As this is an update video, I'll add some other bits to this as and when. But thanks for watching, thanks for the subscriptions up to now, and I can't thank you all enough. Happy days, bye.